Welcome back into Game Fanatics to another first look video. In this one, we're going to be checking out Casebook 1899. Play as a sharp-witted detective in late 19th century Leipzig, Germany. In this retro pixel art point-and-click adventure, search for clues, question suspects, and piece together evidence on your deduction board to solve 4 gripping murder cases. Casebook 1899, released on September 4th of this year, and it is developed and published by Homo Neren's Studio. Got to make sure I was reading the name right there. So yeah, let me just pull up my camera again. Alright, gotta turn down the music just a little bit. Alright, that's better. Alright, let's jump right into it. The year is 1899. We find ourselves in Leipzig, a burgeoning industrial metropolis in the heart of the German Empire. Let us take a moment to enjoy the sight of the bustling activity on the marketplace. One person who cannot take pleasure in it is Hannah Faber, a former teacher who had to give up on her profession due to blindness. She is eagerly awaiting the return of her lodger while listening to her housemaid playing the piano. Madcap Motorist. This already feels very Sherlock Holmes inspired. I mean, just the premise of it is gonna be, you know, easy to do comparisons. That was a beautiful bit of music there.
Wenn ich noch weiter spiele, verknoten sich meine Finger.
Now, if I keep playing, my fingers will get all knotted up.
Das ist schon recht so, Gretchen. Du hast heute sehr schön gespielt.
That's alright, Gretchen. You played very beautifully today.
Und außerdem wird mein Untermieter wohl bald nach Hause kommen.
And besides, my lodger will probably be coming home soon.
Und mir die Zeit mit seinen Geschichten vertreiben.
And pass the time with his stories.
Ich frage mich, was der Kommissar heute wohl erlebt hat.
I wonder what adventures did the inspector experience today.
Der Bericht von seinen Ermittlungen ist immer so mitreißend.
The report of his investigations is always so captivating.
Gretchen, du wirst doch nicht etwa heimlich an der Tür lauschen.
Gretchen, you're not secretly listening at the door, are you? She might have just outed herself.
Das gehört sich für ein Hausmädchen nun wirklich nicht.
That's not really proper for a housemaid.
Ich wollte nicht. Ich bitte um Verzeihung, Frau Faber.
I didn't mean to. I beg your pardon, Miss Faber.
Ich mache nur meine Späße. Wenn du den Geschichten lauschen willst, kannst du gerne die Tür auflassen.
I'm only joking. If you want to listen to the stories, you're welcome to leave the door open.
Im Sommer ist mir der Durchzug sowieso willkommen.
Okay. I appreciate that there's voice acting, you know, for dialogue reading in it. I mean, clearly they had multiple language selection for the text. However, there is no language selection for the dialogue. I can't even change settings right now in this. And honestly, I would just turn off the dialogue at this point because it's not in English. I don't mind reading out the texts. So that way, if you guys aren't directly looking at the screen, you know what's still going on in the game. But I'm going to not read out because they're voice acting, even though it's not in English. I feel a little bit silly reading after them. Let me know in the comments what you prefer. Would you still in the future want me to read out after they've spoken the dialogue in another language, or is just when it's done this way to just leave it be?
Und wenn mich nicht alles täuscht, habe ich auch gerade die Schlüssel des Kommissars im Schloss gehört.
Guten Abend, Frau Faber. Gretchen? Ach, ich muss mich erst einmal hinsetzen. Die Verbrecherjagd führte heute mehrmals durch die halbe Stadt. Aber der Aufwand hat sich wenigstens gelohnt.
Dann werden Leipzigs Straßen nun von einem Verbrecher weniger unsicher gemacht?
Oh, Sie gönnen einem ausgelaugten Polizeibeamten aber auch gar keine Pause. Aber das Erzählen vertreibt die Zeit bis zum Abendessen. Am besten beginne ich meine Erzählung gleich. So werde ich vielleicht fertig, bevor das Essen auf dem Tisch steht. Alles begann heute früh in meiner Schreibstube im Polizeirevier. Ich stand am Fenster und schaute auf das bunte Treiben auf der Wächterstraße. Ich hatte mich in meinen eigenen Gedanken verloren und musste mir einen Ruck geben, mich wieder an die Arbeit zu machen. Genug Tagträumerei.
Okay, I wasn't really paying... There we go. See, right there, I didn't pay attention. Voiceover off. Okay. Alright, so I'll read the scripts from now on. One moment. Sorry about that. Alright, so turn the voiceover off. I'll read the script going forward. I did miss the controls. Where's the control? I don't see anything explaining controls. Because I was focused on that. That's okay, we'll figure it out. Through the open window, I can see the colorful hustle and bustle of the town. It wants me to answer the door, so let's go answer the door. I locked the door so that I could work undisturbed. I need the key to open it. Key over here? Key is not here. Where could it be? Notebook. Detective Kreiser writes down all the observations in his notebook. Scroll down or press N to access it. Click on two observations, one after the other, to combine them and unlock new actions. So nothing in there. Investigate the office and find clues. That's what we're doing right now. I keep the files on my cases in this cabinet sorted by last name. It's actually not too shabby a system with only one shortcoming. There is no room for Z. That's funny. A houseplant, it could do with a little watering. Guilty as charged. The helmet from my time as a patrolman. I don't really like to think back on it. I never had the money for proper shoes back then. I could still tell which street I am on just by looking at the pavement. We got a light, it looks like. Door labeled Z does not fit into the cabinet. A somewhat kitschy landscape. The mountains radiate a peculiar calm. As befits a civil servant, the Emperor adorns the walls of my office. The certificate commemorating my appointment as a detective, it makes me proud whenever I see it. Most recently, I worked on the case of Roswitha Rosenlacher. I took the documents out of my filing cabinet just this morning. Okay, so I last worked on the Rochen. That do. I may have put the key in place of the Russian files this morning. Got the key. Okay, so that's the kind of logic I'll be using. Inventory, scroll up or press I to bring up the inventory. Click on an item in the inventory to activate it. You can use items in the inventory or in the game world. Patrolman Whelm, nice to see you again. Left click to start a dialogue with a person, right click to examine a person. A good man who has what it takes to be more. He seems to want to tell me something. Good morning, Inspector. You have a new case. Another one? What have we got this time? Ooh, so I get to pick which of the 4 I want to work? Alright, let's start with the suicide case. Am I supposed to pick up the body of a woman who committed suicide again? No, it's probably not suicide this time around. Oh, so I don't know what it is, I'm just guessing. While your case is also exotic and luxurious, it doesn't involve the colonies. So it's probably escaped lions. Have the lions escaped from the zoo? Speed and danger indeed have something to do with it, minus the wildlife. Fraud? Who has defrauded furriers? You couldn't be more wrong. Who would think of doing something like that? You'd be surprised at the illustrious company that you find yourself with. I give up. Tell me what it is. Certainly, one of those new motorized vehicles drove into the water in the Plogwitz district. And why would a traffic accident need an inspector? Because apparently foul play took place and the driver is now dead. You go on ahead and secure us a carriage. Alright, I don't know what it wants me to do here. Let's see, Interesting that I have like a light source now. For illuminating things. And then N, there's nothing else in the notebook. So I just need to go out the door. Map. Click on the exit to call up the map. Inspector can use it to travel to new places. To do so, simply click on the pin. Your game will be saved automatically when you enter a new location. Okay. The audio in this game is really well done. Plogwitz, where you can never see the sky, not even on sunny days, due to all the smoke. And who do we have here? Gustav Mobius. What brings a prosecutor to the scene of a traffic accident? My dear friend, this is by no means an ordinary accident. Because this is the first dead body we've had to recover from a motor vehicle? Right, and since there have some accidents like this lately, I'm required to conduct an assessment. I'm assuming the word missing from this sentence is been. And since there have been some accidents like this lately, I'm required. That's just a guess, though. Assessment, what about exactly? Whether the city would need an ordinance in regulating automobile traffic. But to be honest, I'm having doubts as to whether this was an accident. What makes you think that? Oh no, my dear Inspector, you will have to find that out for yourself. But I am, of course, at your disposal should you need help. Hot spots. If you can't find some objects or feel stuck, you can ask Gustav Mobius to mark them. You can also press and hold the left mouse button on Mobius to quickly display all hot spots. Enough chit-chat. I have witnesses to question and evidence to preserve. I should probably talk to Patrolman Whelm first. So, they want me to talk to the patrolman first. Those are all the hot spots. Let's talk to the patrolman first. Let's get to work, Whelm. What do we know so far? Only that the motor vehicle broke through the barrier at immense speed. And since the bridge was yet to be finished, the car plummeted into the river. The body? I assume that the body is the driver? Correct. The man was trapped behind the wheel and had to be pulled out by force. Cause of death. How did the man die? The doctor says he drowned. He apparently did not try to free himself. That's odd. You already know who the dead man is. He had his documents on him. His name was Edward Ullrich. Ulich? Edward Ulich? And he lives close to the Marienplatz. Good. I will inform the family. Witnesses. Did anyone see the accident? The construction worker over there watched everything from his scaffolding. We already have a suspicion as to how the accident occurred. The brake band broke, and so the driver had no way of stopping the motor vehicle. I have instructed the patrolman to not touch anything, so that you can see for yourself. Good thinking, Mom. Alright, so we gotta go look at some clues here. May and Elmslich, mail order company and royal purveyor to the court. I can't reach it. Motor vehicle is done for. It seems to have entered the river at great speed. The patrolmen are trying to pull it out of the river from the other side. The motor vehicle must have been going quite fast, so much so it split the construction site barrier in two. The man seems to have drowned. He also has a pretty nasty head wound. There's the broken belt, it looks like. Brake bands of the motor vehicle. The ends look smoothly cut through. Now I know what the prosecutor meant. Something doesn't seem to be right here. As tempting as the toolbox is, I'd need a good reason before rummaging through it. It's under this tarp. Next to the construction site is a large pile of sand. I wonder what it's used for. Let's talk to the worker. And you are hungry. I want my sandwiches, but these police officers won't let me get back on the scaffolding. Can I still ask you a few questions at least? When I'm hungry, my head works slowly. Just to be sure, that means no, correct? Right. So I'd have to satisfy your hunger first before you'll consider talking to me. Exactly. Alright. Let me go solve that issue. I can't reach their food, though. Like the new bridge is still not finished. What am I missing here? The tracks of the motor vehicle lead straight towards the bridge. Afraid I'm stuck and don't know what to do. Take a good look around. There's still something to do here. Yeah, because I need to do this. Not what I was trying to do. What an extraordinary idea. I don't know what my extraordinary idea was. How do I get the lunch off the scaffolding? Haha. We got the lunchbox. I solved it. Well, what do you know? The police are good for something after all. Ask your questions if you have to. Personal details. What's your name? My name is August Baumann. I am the foreman here on the construction site. I hope I can get back to work soon. The bridge has to be finished after all. Show a little respect. A man has died. It's their own fault if you ask me. Anyone who uses a motor vehicle must surely be tired of living. I'd say I was at the top of the scaffolding when this maniac came racing down the road. When did you notice the automobile? The minute he turned onto the road. He was going so much too fast and swerving from side to side. And headed straight for the construction site? Exactly. I thought to myself, why didn't he just step on the brake? But by then it was already too late, and the car had crashed into the river. I was so scared I almost fell off the scaffolding. Bridge still isn't finished, as you can see. And for the very dim-witted, we have to put up barriers too. But that didn't stop this driver from going towards the bridge at full speed anyways. The vehicle apparently had no functioning brakes. Did the driver do anything else to stop the car? I wondered about that too. The driver could have hit the pile of sand. As a last resort, he would have jumped off, but he drove straight into the river. Interesting. Water, I don't know anything about that. The driver drowned. Apparently he did not try to free himself. Just awful. Okay. So, we're good on what we can get from him. Let me go talk to these two again. See if we can learn anything. Nope. Nope. Alright. I guess we move on from here. How do I go towards an exit? Aha. Got an idea. The question is whether the driver was conscious or not. You have unlocked the first decision. Click on it and decide on an explanation. Several correct decisions will unlock new conclusions. You can change any decision again later. Madcap motorist. You could not react in time to avoid the accident. This indicates that he was not conscious during the accident. He tried to brake in order to avoid the accident, but was in vain. This indicates that he was conscious during the accident. Well, the brake was cut. And he did have a head wound, but he could have gotten the head wound from going off the bridge. And then drowned because he didn't try to escape because he didn't. So, I think he might have been conscious during the accident. He just couldn't brake because the brake had been cut. Right. How do I get to the map? No idea. I did that. Alright, so let's try applying this to different things. That would help. Alright, so I think I've applied that to everything. Yeah. Aha, there we go. We got to the map. So here we are, the mansion of the deceased. And there we have the wife who is now an unsuspecting widow. I should probably deliver her the terrible news before I interrogate the servant as well. A good plan. I wish you much strength. Excuse us for intruding into your home, but it is most essential. I'm Inspector Kreiser from the Leipzig Criminal Investigation Department. Are you Edward Ulrich's wife? That's correct. I'm Emma. Please tell me what it is you want from me. I regret to inform you that your husband had an accident with his motor vehicle. He had an accident? How dreadful. Is he all right? Unfortunately, he died at the scene of the accident. I'm sorry, but I'm afraid I have to ask you a few more questions. Why didn't he lead with letting her know that he died, that he passed away from the accident, instead of just saying there was an accident with your husband, letting her fear, you know, the injury, only then to explain that he's dead? Seems a little cruel. I will try to help you where I can. May I ask a few questions about your husband? Sure you can, if you think it'll help you. Your husband drove an automobile. That is still a very unusual means of transport. He was completely infatuated with that toy. I always told him that it would be the death of him. It's not easy to always be right, you know. We have yet to see what the exact cause of his death was. That is why I am here. Apologies about the yawn. I did a 5-mile walk this morning and I'm a little bit worn out. Was he a good driver? Sure he was. He drove that thing almost every day. Even when I took the horse carriage, he would follow behind in that ridiculous thing, because I wouldn't allow him to drive in front of me and pollute the air with those exhaust fumes. So you think an accident is out of the question? What are you saying? What else could it have been if not an accident? That car was a real death trap. Did your husband have any enemies? There were certainly more than a few. They were envious of what he had achieved in life, but enemies, no. I wouldn't go that far. And remind me, didn't you just declare that it was an accident? Determining that is my job, and I like to be thorough. Did he have any health issues? No, he was always well. He was in prime of life and had more energy than many of the youngsters. Too much energy for my taste, if you catch my drift. I'm trying very hard not to. Let's see here. Gardening. You take care of the garden yourself? No gardener? Indeed, I do. It's a pleasure for me to see the work of my hands grow and flourish. We did have a gardener ages ago, but after I had to explain his work to him 3 times, he quit. And since then, I have been taking care of the little domain. Alright. Let's see what hotspots we got. The residence is one of the most impressive mansions. Wait, I'm not trying to go out. There we go. There are some berries in a small bowl. Interesting. Someone must have picked them from that bush up there. Up where? In one corner of the garden stands a small bush that is bearing black berries. Ah. Better not touch the berries. Those are deadly nightshades. They are highly toxic and can lead to hallucinations, paralysis, and even death. Looks like some of the fruit has already been picked. Who collects deadly nightshade? Nice plants cover the outer wall of the garage. The traces of a wagon are visible on the ground. However, the tracks of the horses and the wagon itself are nowhere to be found. The garage is pitch black. Maybe there would be something interesting to discover in here. This goes to show you should never leave the station without your lamp. Much better. Let's have a look then. Aha, what do we have here? A pair of scissors. The blades look quite battered. They could have been used to cut the belt. A few tools are hung neatly on the wall. One tool seems to be missing. Maybe that was the scissors? Indeed, this is where the scissors should be. Good day, my name is Joseph Kreiser. May I ask you what your connection to Edward is? You may, but do I have to answer? I imagine you must. I'm a police inspector here on a serious matter. Well, in that case, I am Max Topher. I'm his mechanic. I regret to inform you that Mr. York is dead. What happened? Oh, what happened? There was an accident with the motor vehicle he was driving. That is most unfortunate, but tell me, is the car all right? Wow. I'll pretend I didn't hear your impertinence just this once and ask you some questions instead, if you must. I have questions about your employer. Fire away. On the morning of the incident, have you seen him this morning? I heard him before I saw him. I guess the whole neighborhood did. What do you mean by that? The husband and wife had a particularly loud argument this morning. Did you hear what it was about? I couldn't help hearing, but I don't want to cast stones. You'd be better off talking to her. I'll do just that. In any case, he was so riled up that he was talking crazy. I had a lot of trouble concentrating on my work. What was he like as an employer? What is it they say you shouldn't speak ill of the dead? Then I'd better say nothing. But one should always tell the police the truth. Well, if that's what you want, he was a cheapskate and an exploiter. How would you describe the marriage of them? I wouldn't at all. If you don't mind, I'm still in their service. You could help solve a crime. Very well then. Marriage was not very harmonious. The two quarreled more often than they reconciled. What would they quarrel about? For that, you'd have to ask her. Sorry. Alright. So, automobile. Let's talk about the automobile. Go on about. Danger. Did the vehicle pose any danger? No more than a horse and cart would. Don't believe everything you read in the papers. The future lies in the motor vehicle. Count on it. At the moment, however, they're still rather awkward and unsafe, aren't they? There are always little setbacks at the beginning. Just think back to the first locomotives. It was argued that they were harmful to humans and will certainly not prevail. And now there are hardly any village without a train station. I'll give you that. And at some point, everyone will come to own a motorized vehicle, believe me. I mean, he wasn't wrong. Was the vehicle in good working condition? Are you trying to insult me and insinuate something? That car was always in good shape. There was never a screw that wobbled or a wheel that squeaked. I simply wouldn't have allowed it. How would you rate him as a driver? One of the best in Leipzig. You could drive from here to Twacha without even killing the engine once. Wouldn't know anything about that. Let's see here. There's a bowl of poisonous deadly nightshade in the garden. I don't know anything about plants, though I hear that you can extract oils from some of them. Alright, I need to stop talking to him so I can open my notebook and combine those together. That didn't work. Nightshade, a bitter argument, no. No? Interesting. Alright, let's try to talk to her again. Yes, indeed. Now he'll have to look for a new job, it seems. Poor man. He only took care of the motor vehicle, and without that here, there's nothing for him to do. My husband reprimanded him quite a bit, and even withheld some of his wages at the end, I believe. But I actually was quite fond of him, even if he only had the motor vehicle in mind. There was a fight between them. What about? It was about a scratch on the car, the repair of which was to be paid out of Max's wages. But you'd best ask the man himself. Interesting. And then... to collect berries from the bush there? Yes, what of it? Don't you know that they're highly toxic? Is that so? I had no idea. Well, now you know. Better toss them before a disaster should happen. Another one, I mean. Interesting. I don't know anything about that. An argument with your husband? How do you figure? As I get it, I suppose Max couldn't keep his big mouth shut again. It is true that the last words I exchanged with my husband were spoken in anger. What it always was about. My husband unfortunately never took his marriage vows very seriously, meaning, my God, do I have to spell it out? He was one unfaithful bastard. Although I probably shouldn't be saying that now, since he's gone. Interesting. Wait. Is there anything else? All right, we gotta go back to talking to the driver about some of this. Aha. How jealous was Emma really enough to commit murder? I gotta make a decision. Motives. You have just combined motive. Click on the motive and read the explanation carefully. Click again to close the text. It is now automatically integrated into the logic. You can open and read it again at any time. The wife knew that The wife knew of his constant womanizing. After all, it repeatedly led to arguments in their marriage. It's possible it became too much for Emma, and she finally put an end to the stories. Was he conscious at the time is still the question. I heard that there was a dispute between you and your employer recently. Oh, so she's been trying to discredit me now. Well, I should have seen that coming. He claimed that I had damaged his motor vehicle when it was him who caused the damage while returning from one of his nightly trips. And why did this lead to such a heated argument? Because he wanted to dock my pay for the damage. That was what was the last straw, and I handed in my notice. Ooh. What I need to do is get out of there so I can go and try and combine those two to an idea. Now we have another motive, right? Was the quarrel between them severe enough to motive for murder? Yeah, another motive. He was left to pay for damages to the motor vehicle out of his own pocket. It's possible this infuriated him so much that he decided to terminate not only his contract, but also his employer. Does she know he quit? Alright, so that seems to be it for this area. Didn't I put the scissors away? Oh, there we go. Trying to figure out which way I need to go to be able to leave this area. We should continue the investigation elsewhere. Where do we need to go, though, is the question. Boy. Hmm. Ah. I'm going to make the assumption that she knew about the dangers of nightshade. She's been gardening for years at this point. I doubt that she would know that she was growing a poison in her garden. But where does this leave us? Is there anything else I can ask of these two? Other than the band is broken, no. He says he wouldn't know anything about that, but, like... There's still the hot spot here. Yeah, so this is the only thing I have left. Alright, let me ask for help. Stuck and don't know what to do. Take a good look around. There's still something to do here. What is there to do here? There's nothing. I don't know what else to do. Alright, I don't want to look anything up either. But unfortunately, I think this is where we might have to end this one. There's no hints or anything like that. he just tells you there's something else you're missing here. But if you go here and you go to hotspots, we've clicked on that. That's the mansion. That's about the bowl. That's about the garden. That's about the stuff on the wall, which I can't cut. And I can't do anything with the belt anywhere here in this house. So I have no clue what I'm missing, because I can check the notebook, but they all just say, you know, don't know anything about the van being broken. And neither did somebody at the other location seem to know anything about what to do about it. Yeah, nothing needs to be cut. So I'm not sure. See, like, I would imagine that, like, maybe the bush needed to be cut to get some of the berries to have as evidence, but when you click on the garden, it doesn't seem to do anything. Yeah, see, this does not need to be cut. Yeah, I don't know what else to do, guys. So unfortunately, that is where we're going to leave this one. I've run into a roadblock. I have no clue how to progress. I would have to look it up online, which means that this game has done a poor job, in my estimation, of allowing people to play through without having to rely on a guide or a clue. Now, keep in mind, it is a puzzle game, so yes, I do realize that it requires some critical thinking in order to be able to solve. That's the whole point, but it's also a point-and-click adventure, which means it should not be this difficult. I've clicked and pointed at everything, and there's nothing left to click or point at. And when that's the case, what am I supposed to do? So, unfortunately, I cannot recommend Casebook 1899. If you think you have figured out what to do next, like what I missed, please let me know in the comments down below, guys. Without looking it up, I mean, if you look it up and you just to figure it out that way, like whatever. But I want to know if you guys can genuinely figure it out on your own, where I missed something, because I can't. But that's where I'm going to have to leave this one. Hope you all have enjoyed. It was still an enjoyable hour, but getting stuck, it sucked. That's where I'm going to leave this one. So I'll see you guys again next time.